Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Deciding to Soar, Living Life Your Own Way. And if you are a woman who's over 50 years old and you feel as if you don't have what you need or you don't know enough to start something new, today's conversation is just for you because I want to show you that you are not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And I'm so excited to have that conversation with you today. So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. My name is SharRon Jamison, and I am a life strategist. I am a corporate leader, a minister, and a mom. And this is a podcast where we have unedited, unscripted conversations where I share what I'm learning from my own life, as well as what I'm learning from coaching and working with some of the most amazing healers, leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries, and brave souls, people just like you. And so today I'm excited to have this conversation because over the last couple of weeks, I have been hearing from so many women who are over 50 years old telling me that they don't feel as if they have what they need, or they feel as if they missed their moment, or that they have run out of time. And what I have known from my own life and what I know for working with many other amazing people who are over 50 years old, over 60 years old, over 70 years old, sometimes we have to take a close inventory of our lives and we will realize that we are lacking nothing. We will only realize that we have what we need, but we have to put some language around it so we can see it differently, so we can see that we're not only empowered and ready, but that we're ready to soar higher than we have ever soared before. And so today I want you to take out something to write with. I'm old school. I love pencil and paper, but something to take notes with because I want to share with you five considerations that I want you to think about when you are starting something new. That can be starting a new job, starting a new career, starting a new relationship, starting a new fitness journey, whatever you are starting something new. I want you to see that your life provides what you need to begin with. And let me tell you, I have my notes because I don't want to leave anything out. Um, because I think this is really experience, it's really an important conversation to have so we can look at our lives and understand the first thing we have, number one, is experience. You have experience. Now, when I think about experience, I want you to think broadly and think about experience as what you have lived, what you have lived. And so that can be more than your resume, of course, but it can be experience navigating a difficult conversation, working with hard people, working with people of different cultures, different status, something different outside of your norm. It could be trying to hold a relationship together when you're going through a divorce or going through a tough time. It could be when you had to make a hard decision where you didn't have the data or enough information. It could be something like having experience running a household without support, without adequate finances, with working through uncertainty. It could be something like caring for your aging parents, or caring for a child who's going through a crisis without a roadmap or without support, or just going through it and trying to do it by yourself when you're exhausted. It could be something like learning how to rebuild your life. Just think about all the experience that you have gained rebuilding your life after a divorce, after a bankruptcy, after a downsizing, after a relocation. How about rebuilding your life after an illness, after an awakening? You have a lot of experience based on what you have lived. And many times we think that our experience doesn't count. But when you take a close inventory and you look at your experience through the eyes of possibility, you'll realize that you have built some things, you have created some things, that you have corrected some things, that you have changed some things, that you have participated in some things. You have a lot of experience to build on something. I don't care if you're building a new relationship, building a new perspective, building a new business. When we look at our experiences and look over our life, you will see that you have lived through a lot of lessons that have provided you with knowledge and know-how and insight and wisdom to build something new, to build something different, to allow yourself to be reinvented and reborn and um, what is the word? Recalibrated. So, first thing I want you to write down is experience. You have experience because you have lived through a lot. And what you have lived through has prepared you for this new season, this new chapter, this new venture, this new perspective, this new relationship experience. The second thing I want you to write down is expertise. Expertise, and that's something that you do well. Now, it's really interesting when we talk about our expertise because we all have something that we do with great excellence and we do it with great ease. We all have mastered something through our repetition, through experience. We may have mastered it out of necessity. Sometimes we have mastered something because we're just good at it. It's like wired in our DNA. It's like we're gifted. We have been gifted by our creator to do something just exceptional, just out of the ordinary. And we all have that one thing. And many times we have a lot of things that we can do at exceptional level. Now, here's the thing. Many times we take our expertise, things that we do at a high level for granted. And I want to share this with you. As I mentioned to you on other podcasts, I'm a preacher's kid. My father was a minister, so I grew up in the church and grew up in the community, doing a lot of work in the community and doing a lot of volunteer work. And so, very young, I was a church musician. I was 10 years old and I played for multiple choirs. So, I had a lot of experience leading people who were older than I was, leading people with different skill levels, different abilities. Then I did a lot of volunteer work. So, I did a lot of community work. So, I had a lot of experience working with people across race, across gender, across faith, across educational levels. I just had a lot of experience working with different types of people who had different mindsets, different perspectives, different cultures. And since I had done that type of work all the time in ministry, in the community, it was always connected to church environments and spirituality. I learned how to lead through encouragement, through affirmation, helping people feel know that they are valued, feel seen, heard, and known. And I did it, some of it because how I'm wired, but because I also did it because that's what I saw around me. Because when you're working with volunteers and you can't pay people, you lead very differently. And I thought what I did was just normal. Didn't really think about it until I got into corporate America. And I encountered a lot of people who were really poor leaders, people who did not know how to make people feel valued, did not know how to make people feel seen, people who did not know how to listen well, people did who did not know how to give affirmation and gratitude, people who did not know how to thrive with people who are different in their race and their age or their nationality or their culture. I saw people who did not know how to share the spotlight and how to work across different types of departments or organizations. And I was shocked because I just thought everybody did how I was raised. But over time, people would say and compliment me on how I led people, how I mentored people, how I taught people, how I encouraged people, how I cultivated relationships with different types of people across different departments and different organizations. Again, things that I just thought were normal. And I started normalizing. what I did. I didn't look at it as a gift. I didn't look at it as a wisdom. But what I started to understand is that I had a different leadership philosophy, that I was merging spirituality, what I learned in the community and church, with how I led in a corporate setting, and I was leading something different. And then people started seeking me out, and I started being asked to consult for nice compensation. But all this time, for years, I just thought, oh, it's nothing. And I say that because I know in your life, there's something that you are doing that you just think everybody does. Everybody's good at, and you are exceptional at it. And you're taking yourself for granted and you are minimizing it, not because you're trying to be humble, it's just because you're not aware. But I want to invite you to think about something that you do with just great excellence, with ease, things that you are head and tails above others, and write it down, because you will see that something that you have normalized is something that you're exceptional at. And that expertise will help you serve as help you build. It will serve as a building block for a new relationship, building block for your business, building block for your career. Even how I parent my 32-year-old son, I parent him based on how what I'm good at, right? Because I'm naturally a person who affirms and develops and acknowledges. So when we start to lean into our expertise, we realize that we have the foundation to be fruitful and to do things and to create things and to establish things and to invent new ways of working with people based on our strengths, based on our expertise in ways that allow us to be effective and with ease. So I want you to write that down. Experience is what you have lived. Expertise is what you do exceptional. The third thing that will help you know that you have what you need to build something and to do something new is your enjoyment. Now, if you're over 50, we were raised to think that fun was frivolous. We were raised to believe that you had to work hard, that you had to suffer and sacrifice for your children, for your family, for your community. My generation, I was born in the 60s, we were not taught that fulfillment was important and having fun was important and rest was something that you didn't have to earn. That's not something that I taught. And so what has happened is that we don't understand that enjoyment is an indicator of what we should be doing. What you enjoy gives you insight. Your desires give you direction. It helps guide you. And so when we start looking at what gives us enjoyment or what makes us come alive, what makes us come awake, what makes us become more aware and activate us, that gives us information on how we should build. And it helps us to make sure we build based on something that will give us joy versus something that will bring more burdens. So think about, what do you enjoy? And how can you build a business, a career, a relationship based on something you already enjoy so that you're working in alignment with what you already have? And when you do something that's already in your heart, that's already fulfilling, that's already makes you feel a sense of pleasure, you become more fruitful and you become more faithful and stick to it even when it gets hard. So, enjoyment, what brings you alive? The fourth thing I want you to write down is equipping. What equips you? Now, I want us to kind of slow this down a little bit, because when we think about what equips us in life, I want you to write down, what has life prepared you for? That's what equipping means. What has life prepared you for? Now, when we think about that, I want you to honor that you may have survived many different type of systems, many different type of seasons, many different type of situations in your life that you never really thought about or preparing you for something. I'm going to give you some examples. Dealing with hard conversations, dealing with impossible transitions when you had to relocate or move without resources, without direction. How about every time somebody betrayed you, was preparing you for something? How about every time you had to rebuild after a layoff, after a downsizing, after a bankruptcy? It was preparing you for something. How about every time you had to hold yourself together while everybody else had a chance to fall apart? It's preparing you for something. I want you to think about all the times you were able to be steady when everybody else was feeling panic or chaotic. That was preparing you for something. Now, when I think about life equipping us, I want you to think of that. Another way of saying it is that life was building capacity within you to do something. So you have capacity within you. In your life, all the vicissitudes, the ups and downs, all of your experiences was building capacity for you to be adaptable, capacity for you to be flexible, it's a capacity for you to be more resourceful, more strategic, more resilient, more emotionally intelligent. And so I think we have to look at our lives and to understand you have been equipped for whatever you want to do. And when we take an inventory, or in church language, when we say when we look over our lives and look at our testimonies, right, you will see that you have a reference point for where you have been that helps you understand what you tools you already have to help you to go where you're going. Yeah. So I want you to think about this again. You're not starting over, you're starting fresh, but you're starting fresh knowing that you have been equipped, that you have had some capacity because maybe you have had to go through death and disease and destruction and debt. You have built some capacity to fall back down and get back up. You have built some capacity to stand up for yourself, even if it means you have to stand alone. You have built some capacity to move forward, even when you had to move alone. And when I think about my life, that's one of the things I can say I have developed some capacity because many of you know when I got married the first time I was 23 years old. And even though I grew up in the Christian faith, I married someone of a different faith. And can I tell you, that did not go well. And my family didn't come to my wedding, and my family um, did not really align with me for years. But that experience helped me develop the capacity to stand up for myself, even when I had to stand alone. And I was 23. And when you can stand up to your family, it lets you know you can stand up to every leader, every policy, every political perspective. You can stand up to your enemies. And that situation really gave me the capacity to endure and bounce back and rebuild from some tough situations. So I want you to ask yourself, what has your life equipped you for? What have you built capacity to do? And I think that's really important. The fifth thing I want you to think about is your education, what you know already and what you can teach. Now, when we think about education, I am thinking broader than our degrees and our certifications, and both of those are important. I believe in degrees. I have two. I believe in certifications. I have many. I believe that they're important. I want to honor that, honor the dedication to earn that that was required to earn that. But I also want to say the education comes through a lot of different other ways too. Education comes through observation and failure, because sometimes if you watch somebody else fail or do something wrong, you don't have to repeat it. Comes through recovery when you maybe fell down and got back up. It comes from reading, leadership, apprenticeship, testing things out, adventure, motherhood, right? There's no book for that. Spiritual growth, being in community, collaborating, traveling. There's a lot of ways that we acquire information, and we acquire information that allows us to teach. For example, people don't really think about it, but if you are a parent, you've been teaching all your life. If you are guiding people in the operating room, in the courtroom, in the classroom, in the prayer room, you might call it guidance, but you're really leading people. And so sometimes we just have to put language around what we do and not minimize it and say, you know what? I am leading people. I am teaching people. I am mentoring people. I am good at logistics. For example, if you're a person and you coordinate an event for your child's school, you are a project manager. You are good at logistics. We got to really think about what we're good at and give it a name. Because when we have language for something that we do, it lets us take inventory and acknowledge what we can do and what we are prepared for and what we have already have the building blocks to build whatever we want to build, right? Which affirms again that you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience and expertise and enjoyment and equipping and education. So, what I would like you to do, I invite you to do is this evening in your quiet time, I want you to take inventory. Now, and I want you to ask yourself these questions. Experience. What have you lived through that required courage, wisdom, and endurance? And how can you apply that to whatever you want to start? Start a new job, a new entrepreneurship, starting a new relationship. What have you lived through that can help you do what you feel called to do in this season? Expertise. What do you normally do that others struggle at? And how can you do something that you're good at already to build that relationship, to build that business, to build that career? Enjoyment. What genuinely brings you alive? And how can you stay alive so that you have more energy, more awareness, so you can stay activated in ways that allow you to do your best work? Equipping. What difficult seasons in your life prepared you for who you are now and give you the internal infrastructure to be who you want to be? Because we all have internal infrastructure, the building blocks, the inner knowing. What built the self confidence, the self respect, the self worth? What equipped you to know that you have it? You have what it takes. That's equipping. I want you to write that down. In education, what do you know deeply that you can help someone else? When I think about that question, education, I think about one of my friends. She was the caregiver for her mom who eventually succumbed to dementia. And she learned so much through that experience. Now she started a whole business being a person who walks with families who are going through caregiving when their loved one has dementia. And she does it one on one. It's something that she has put together all of her experience and education and equipment and enjoyment. And she's doing something very valuable and getting compensated for it. She started her own business by doing something that she felt called to do, that she had learned to do, that she had become good at, something that she had education. Well, now she didn't go to college for it, but it's something that she learned to do. And what she was naturally good at is making people feel seen and loved. And now she has a business. I just want to give that experience. So I just want you to do the inventory, invite you to do that. And I want to remind you that you are a person who is carrying a lifetime of wisdom and survival and insight and leadership and creativity and possibility. And I want you to know that you're not lacking for anything. You have all of these, what I like to call invisible assets, right at you. You have all this information and data to help you build whatever you want to build in this new season, in this new chapter, in this new way of being for this a wonderful, amazing journey that you're on called life. And so if this podcast resonates, I want to ask you to do a couple things. One, I want to invite you to subscribe to whatever you're listening to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, we are in conversation, seeing each other, and I'm really honored by that. I want you to, if you will, subscribe to us so we can continue this journey together. Secondly, thing I would love you to do is to share this episode with another woman who feels like she doesn't have what it takes to start over, so that she can realize that she has exactly what she needs for this new chapter and this new season. Again, she might not ask you, but you know who needs that extra sense of encouragement to know that they have what it takes. And the third thing, if you are looking for a community of people who are over 50, who are in the same journey of reclaiming their voice and their wisdom and their purpose and stepping into their next chapter because they're maybe have just gone through a divorce or a layoff or downsize, they just want to start all over. They just retired. I want you to invite them to consider Reclamation Circle, which is going to be a small group of women where we can go through this journey together and share with each other. Because what I know is that even though we have the education expertise and we are equipped and have what we need to take that next step, it's always wonderful to do it with support. So I want to make you aware of that and invite you to that. And then, of course, I always want to invite you to join the newsletter that I try to send out at least 3 times a month, where I go into these conversations more intimately and in more detailed to help people have more insight, more reflections, more wisdom about navigating leadership and reinvention and healing purpose, becoming and all of the other ways that we want to show up so we can dare to soar higher in our own lives. And before we close, I want to, of course, leave you with a blessing for this week. And I wrote it down because I don't want to miss anything. And so I hope you will just open your heart and close your eyes and listen as this prayer. I say this prayer so that it lands on your heart and lands in your spirit so that you can take it with you as you are navigating this next week. And it reads as follows. May you stop dismissing what life has taught you. May you honor the wisdom you earned in seasons no one applauded. May you recognize that survival taught you something, that caregiving taught you something, that leadership taught you something, that grief taught you something, that rebuilding taught you something. May you stop calling your gifts ordinary simply because they came naturally to you. May you trust that what you carry still have purpose. And may you remember you are not starting over. You are building forward. You are building with wisdom. And may you bring your next chapter courage, truth, joy, and self-respect, because you know that you're not starting from scratch. You're starting for wisdom. So again, thanks so much for being with me today. I'm so grateful, and I look forward to continuing this very important conversations with you next week as we all dare to soar higher in ways that make our hearts sing. So as I say at the end of every podcast, I believe that the best is still yet to come for me and you, and that we can continue to soar higher than we have ever soared before. Blessings.